I had the wrong camera on. What's up, Brett Underwood? How you doing, man? So yeah, we got to set up a time to get an interview. I want to do an interview with you. So anyway, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Randsanity, episode 216. Yes, 216 episodes of this craziness. Doing this for shit. I don't even know how long I've been doing this now. Gilbert Habershire invites you to co-host. I don't know who Gilbert is. Gilbert, I'm sorry. Who are you? Gilbert Haberdashery invites you to co-host. Sorry, I wasn't ready to co-host, Gilbert Haberdashery. I'm doing my intro. I got to get my intro done, Gilbert. Anyway, welcome to Randsanity. Late live tonight, whatever the fuck we want to call it. We haven't come up with an appropriate name yet, so there you go. That's what it is. All right. Let's see. What was I going to say? I'm confused here. I got caught off guard because it became 11 o'clock before I knew it. Anyway. So stick around because tonight I'm going to share with you the least likely neighbor celebrity voted that you would want to live next door to, as well as young blood is back in the news again. So we'll get to those things a little bit later tonight, including births and deaths, as well as music news, things that happen throughout history, both in the entertainment world as well as the music news, things that happen on this day. So there you go. And of course, my anecdotal shenanigans of the things that went on in my life that pertained to the music industry, as I was a music industry guy for over 3 decades. That's what I do. I'm a radio guy. Damn it. How everybody doing tonight? Everyone good? Howdy. Happy Saturday. Happy January the 3rd. Holy crap. We're in the 3rd day of January and the world's already on fire. Didn't take long, but that's what happens, right? When you live under a volcano, sometimes it erupts. Woo! All right, well, let's start with this. The meteoric rise of Elvis Presley in 1955. He appeared in Boonsville, Virginia at the age of 20-year-old, and he was still just a regional star. Just, meh. Nobody really knew who this guy was in 1955. January of 1955. Just kind of this dude. By the end of 1956, within 2 years, he became a national sensation, recording 2 albums, which included Heartbreak Hotel and Blue Suede Shoes. He appeared on national television 11 times, played over 100 concerts, and signed a 7-year contract with Paramount Pictures. So see, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Look at the ridiculous of Fans girl that made $3 million after turning 18. Oh, man, a lot of people are just really kind of a little too eager for that. I'm sorry. Way too eager, man. Way too eager, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it in your pants, okay? That's all I can tell you. Ooh, shit, 1963, Cliff Richard was number 1 on the UK chart with his 6th UK number 1. The next time, I don't know, both songs were taken from the film Summer Holiday. Did I say a second song or did I just totally skip over that? Oh, The Next Time and Bachelor Boy. That was 2 different things. Shit, I can't keep a track, man. I don't know how to do that, all right? I can't keep track of shit anymore. So just leave my brain out of this, all right? That's all I can tell you. I'm looking for something. I can't find it, but it's here somewhere. Anyway. Yeah, so don't forget, I'm going to share with you a reader poll of who would be voted worst neighbors, celebrity neighbors to live next door to. 40% voted for this. It was split between lots of different, but 40% voted for this celebrity would be the worst neighbor to live next to. Neighbors from hell. I don't know if I agree, but 1964 on January the 3rd, the Beatles were seen for the second time on U.S. television when a clip from the BBC's show, The Mersey Sound, like Jersey, Mersey, so Mercy, like Jersey, like New Jersey, showing the groups playing She Loves You was shown on the Jack Parr Show. The first airing showing the Beatles was on November 18th of 1963 on the NBC News program The Huntley-Brinkley Report, albeit pre-recorded of the Beatles in concert. So that's when America got exposed to these guys. In 1967, the Bee Gees set sail from Australia, where they had been living for the past 9 years, to head to England, the land of their birth. When they arrived 5 weeks later, can you imagine being on a fucking boat for 5 weeks? I mean, it better have been a nice boat. I mean, that better be like Royal Caribbean, like, something of the seas to be on a boat for 5 weeks. Man, I'd be like, this is my shit. It better be like open bar and all the food you can eat, and I put on 100 pounds in 5 weeks because I'm eating pizza and ice cream 24/7. Because otherwise I'd be like, dude, 5 weeks on the ocean, I'd be like, I'm bored. I'm claustrophobic and I'm way seasick. But anyway, a few weeks after arriving in England, the family received a phone call from Robert Stigwood, the partner of the Beatles' manager Brian Epstein. Stigwood had heard tapes of the Gibbs and requested a meeting. So there you go. That's how the Gibbs became famous. The Bee Gees. Now, this I found to be, I wanted to dig a little bit more, be like, really? But I didn't. In 1967, Carl Wilson, of the Beach Boys, Carl Wilson, having received a U.S. Army draft notice, refused to be sworn in, saying he was a conscientious objector. So I'm wondering what happened to Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys. Did someone slap his wrist? He didn't follow Elvis's lead and say, yeah, I'll join the Army. Put me as a tank commander. Send me to Germany and I'll sing some songs and meet the love of my life and get married and live happily ever after. No, not really. He did not live happily ever after. It seems like Elvis had a rough one. Well, in some sense of the word. Jimi Hendrix, always. Any story about Jimi Hendrix, I love, and this one's perfect. Appearing live on the Lulu Show in the UK, Jimi Hendrix Experience were booked to perform 2 songs, Voodoo Child, which he performed in full. He did exactly as he was told to do and said he was going to do it. He did a great job. Then Hendrix stopped performing his new single, Hey Joe, just after a verse and a chorus, and instead launched into a version of the Cream song, Sunshine of Your Love, as a tribute to the band who had just split up a few days earlier. Hendrix then proceeded to continue jamming, running over their allotted time slot on the live show, preventing the show's host, Lulu, from closing the show properly. Why not? Hendrix is probably like, yo, whatever, man. I'm just going to do this. All they can do is cut me off, not invite me back. Which I don't know if they did or didn't. I did not dig into that far, but I just love that fact. Billy Ray, For Your Cruise Should Be Wet. Yeah, oh, man. Wow, Woo. Yeah, 4-year cruise. I don't know, man. It's a long time. 5 weeks would be a long time. I mean, come on. I think the longest vacation I ever took was like 2 full weeks. Like completely away. And I was in Europe for 2 weeks. And that was a lot, man. I'll always remember when we got to, we were in France, we were in Spain, we were in Amsterdam, Germany, the whole bit. But I'll never forget we made it to the Rock of Gibraltar in Spain. And it was a British colony still. I don't think it had transitioned over yet, back to the Spanish people. And I think it was still there. So you went there and it was British sterling, little girls in, dresses singing Frere Jacques. And I was like, this is great. Oh my God, I love it. I'm so happy it's England. And there was a Pizza Hut. And I had so much rich food over the week's time. I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to eat lunch for Pizza Hut. And we went into Pizza Hut and I ordered like a pizza. And I ate, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of pizza and a carafe of wine. Now, the carafe of wine that I expected to get was like what we get in America. Pretty much like a bottle of wine in a carafe, just house wine. It's like just get some house red in a little carafe of wine. And I figured it's a bottle. Well, first of all, the pizza comes out and I was just like eating it like it was nobody's business and I had not eaten in a month. And the wine was in a carafe, but the carafe was not what you expect in the U.S. It was like a friggin' jug. It was like this I don't know, a tankard. It was something like, a gallon jug of like, just the crappiest red wine you can imagine. So I just drank red wine and ate pizza and wound up falling asleep in customs. Because what else do you do? You're in customs waiting in line for hours. I'm just like passed out. But yes, I was so happy to just continue that and just keep going over. So didn't care whatsoever. That was one of those things. In 1970, B.J. Thomas. I was like, B.J. Thomas, why do I know that name? And then I was like, oh, wait. He started a 4-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. And yes, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Written by Burt Bacharach. The song it was from the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and it won an Oscar for the best original song. That's why I know it from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But yes, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Amazing. Now, what am I looking for and why can't I find it? I'm looking for something I can't find. I know what it is. I can't find my live stats. This is so annoying. That's what's going on. I can't find my live stats. So anyway, yeah, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Burt Bacharach. Love it. That's a beautiful thing. All right, there we go. Now I found it. All right, that's what I was looking for. See, it all works out in the end. Everything, always, forever and ever. In 1970, I'll bring this one around to the today. George Harrison in 1970, working on the Get Back sessions, okay? Get Back. At Studio 2 of EMI Studios in London, the three Beatles, Paul, George, and Ringo, record 16 takes of George Harrison's song, I, Me, Mine. John Lennon was away in Denmark at the time. A decade later became the title of George Harrison's autobiography. Now, all the way you move forward, way, go, 1970, all the way up to pretty much today, which, believe it or not, was just last year. A year ago today, the Beatles had the biggest selling vinyl of the 2023 in the United Kingdom with their record-breaking last song, Now and Then. With over 33,000 copies sold since its release, they broke several records, including the longest time between an artist's first and last number 1 and the UK's fastest-selling vinyl single of the century. Because remember, people stopped doing vinyl. The ballad that John wrote and recorded around 1977 as a home demo was completed by the surviving bandmates Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr using overdubs and guitar tracks by George Harrison from the abandoned 1995 anthology sessions. I did listen to it and I watched the video. It's kind of cool, but it's a little weird. It's basically a couple of dead guys that are singing with a couple of live guys. I was like, all right, fair enough. That's, it is what it is. But I was like, well, all right, I guess that's, it works still, right? It still works. 1972, 2 weeks of rehearsals for Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon, and the tour began at the Bermondsey, London, England. The venue was owned by the Rolling Stones. How do you like that one? UB40? What's UB40? Tell me what UB40 is, Obi. I don't know what UB40 is. Maddie and Hankris. Like I got a Hankrissing? I don't know. Now this gets the applause of the day. Very nice. Bob Dylan's song Hurricane peaked at number 33 on the Billboard singles chart in 1976. That song helped the cause enough public outcry that it eventually got the former boxer Reuben Hurricane Carter released from jail. The song promoted Carter's innocence, and a movie about Carter's life starring Denzel Washington were released in 2000. So if you've never seen it, it's actually a good movie. And it's a real life story, which is even funnier. But yes, wrongly accused Reuben Hurricane Carter violent robbery when it in fact was not him. And advocacy group kept on petitioning to have his trial redone. And finally, he was released after being jailed for decades. Pretty amazing stuff. Good old Bob Dylan. Bob. Yay. Nice job, Bob Dylan. Got to give Bob Dylan some props for that one. All right. And let's see. In 1976, the Bay City Rollers went to be #1 on the U.S. singles chart with S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y, night. Like tonight, Saturday night. It's Saturday night. I don't have the ability to do high notes like that. Sorry. I think that permanently injured my vocal cords now. And now my voice is going to be all like garbly for the next 6 months. Know your limitations. I think that's a cool hand, Luke. A man's got to know his limitations. Apparently I did not know my limitations. Yes, red wine. That makes sense. UB40 red wine. All right, now I get it. But anyway, the Bay City Rollers were #1 with Saturday Night. At the height of their success, the Scottish group signed a deal to promote breakfast cereal, and they also had their own weekly TV show in the UK. All right, I didn't know that. That's all right. The Bay City Rollers. Now, you got to love this one. Amos Milburn. He was an American rhythm and blues singer, died at the age of 52 in 1980 on January 3rd. He was famous for his drinking songs, including Let Me Go Home, Whiskey, and One Scotch, One Bourbon, One Beer. Now, that song was redone by George Thorogood, who I brought up the other day as one of the artists I will call out when I used to be a bouncer at a venue as getting the Douche of the Day award because he made us all turn our backs as he walked out of the green room down to the stage. We had all like... We were not allowed to look at him. You may not make eye contact with the artist. You have to turn your back. So I'll always remember, like, really? I'm like, God, seriously? You've ever turn my back? I can't look at this guy? Like, really? I'm like, all right, whatever, man. I was like, whatever floats his boat. In 1981, in the Booth Theater in Broadway in New York City, David Bowie made his final appearance as the Elephant Man. He was in that show as, in fact, the Elephant Man. Got to respect that, huh? Aretha Franklin, in 1987, became the very first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And despite the enormity of this milestone, she wasn't actually able to attend the ceremony herself. So she sent Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards, Clive Davis, and her brother Cecil. They did the induction at the and basically she wrote a speech, boiled it down to be the first woman inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a historical moment and indeed a milestone in my career. Not attending, though. So it couldn't have been that much of a milestone. I think if you are going to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you kind of have to be present there. I don't think sending a speech with your brother and Keith Richards, well, don't get me wrong. Sending Keith Richards to do anything is kind of epic. Hey, Keith, can we do my bidding? Will you go ahead and go accept this award for me? Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. But still, that's, pretty much flying under the radar with that one. Now, I've spent some time at the Rock Hall. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I've been there a couple of times. I actually have my name autographed on the wall where all the artists that come into the building, in the VIP line when you go in, it's downstairs, backstage area when you go in to perform or whatever else. I actually signed my name on the wall when we were there one time backstage for an event. So I've been to the Rock Hall. We've broadcasted live from their studios and everything else. And it's a pretty epic place. If you've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, I highly suggest that you make a trip to go do that at some point. Stars was up. Because it is no lie, seriously, a really, really cool thing to do. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame it's pretty amazing. Now, I was kind of upset. I'm not going to lie. We did send, I did have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame curator come down to the radio station at one point, and I gave him a tour of the station and showed him all the memorabilia we have, all the gold records and all the guitars, set lists, and all the pieces of stuff that we got from bands over the years. And I was like, bro, can we get a little love at the Rock Hall? In the local section? Didn't do it. I was always kind of bummed by that because I was like, bro, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you send us up there? So, yeah, so that's, they do have a piece. We did send them a couple things that they probably put in the storage locker somewhere, but rock and roll, baby, rock and roll, the fickle fate of rock and roll. All right, remember, I'm still going to tell you who was voted the worst celebrity neighbors ever by this magazine to live next door to. As well as I am going to talk about Youngblood being back in the news. That'll all be coming up here at some point. All right? So don't leave. Okay? You got to stay here for this stuff. The tenor, Luciano Pavarotti, agreed to pay the Italian authorities $2.72 million after losing an appeal for tax evasion charges. Oops. In the year 2000, Pavarotti was reported that it was worth, a whopping $500 million at the time. And they wanted him to pay $2.72 million in back taxes because they busted him on tax evasion. Oh, Pavarotti, what's up with that, man? Oops. Not so great. I talked about this last night, that Zach Foley, the bassist from the British group EMF, died at the age of 31 of a drug overdose. Of all things, come on, man. That's for cheese-eating high school boys. You can't die of drug overdoses when you're in your 30s, let alone 40s or 50s. You have to know your limitations by then. Again, the Cool Hand Luke reference. A man's got to know his limitations. EMF had the 1990 world hit with Unbelievable, which reached number 3 on the UK singles chart and was number 1 hit on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart. The name EMF is believed to be an abbreviation for Epsom Mad Funkers. I have no idea what Epsom Mad Funkers stands for. It makes no sense to me at all. Sweet Jane! You've been where? Once. It's a cool place. I'm assuming that you meant the, Rock Hall. Yeah, it's a damn cool place. It's amazing. I've been there a bunch of times. That's where I was the Billy Corrigan chaperone from the Smashing Pumpkins. When they did a thing up there for the Rock Hall, I got to be Billy Corrigan's chaperone. Spend the whole day with him. Kind of here, let me direct you to the stage, Mr. Corrigan. That was funny. It was, as I've said before, it was very interesting because I think I was the only male escort. Everyone else had females. They were all a bunch of, very beautiful models and, all these people you see at a car show going, here's the new Chrysler Cordoba. And I was the only guy, but that's because Corrigan specifically didn't want some young girl. So they're like, you do it. I'm like, all right, I can do this. So, black pants, black tie. I was like, all right, cool. It was fun. I'll do it again. In 2014, Phil Everly, one half of the Everly brothers, died of complications from lung disease at 74 in California. In the heyday between 57 and 62, the Everly brothers had 19 top 40 hits, including Bye Bye Love, Wake Up, Little Susie, Wake Up. I like that song. And All I Have to Do Is Dream. Dream. They were influenced by the Beatles and the Beach Boys. The Everly Brothers had 35 Billboard Top 100 singles, 26 in the top 40. They hold the record for most Top 100 singles by any duo. In the UK, they had 30 chart singles, 29 in the top 40, 13 top 10, and 4 number 1 between 57 and 84. So they had one of those late blooming ones that got re-released, apparently. Phil Everly. In 2017, vinyl sales topped 3 million last year. The highest UK total in 25 years. More than 3.2 million records were sold in 2016, a rise of 53% of previous years, according to the BPI. We know what that stands for, right? The British Phonographic Institute. I've said it enough now. I have it memorized. The BPI, ladies and gentlemen, which represents the music industry. David Bowie's Black Star was the most popular album on vinyl, selling more than double the number of copies of the 2015's biggest selling Adele's 25. So look at that. David Bowie beat Adele. Nice job, David Bowie. Who doesn't love that, right? I mean, I like it personally. That's just me. Okay, now this falls into the fuck around and find out category. Okay. 2020, Sir Rod Stewart was charged by police following an alleged altercation at a Florida hotel on New Year's Eve. A police document released in the U.S. accused Stewart of punching a security guard after his companions, including his son Sean, attempted to get into a private party in a children's area in the Breakers Palm Beach Hotel. First of all, what the actual fuck? Why are you trying to get to a children's area at the Breakers in Palm Beach? That's what I want to know. Secondly, that's not a very good influence for your son to be getting into an altercation and punching a security guard. Like, bro, what's up with that? You're not giving Sean a very good indication that dad's a good guy. You're kind of showing dad's a douche waffle at that point, Rod Stewart. Just saying. Don't punch security guards. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about Youngblood. I'll jump out of this for a second. We'll go talk about Youngblood, okay? Youngblood fans got the start of 2026 with a massive treat. He recently released another version of Zombie, this time darker and alongside the Smashing Pumpkins. This is a major highlight of the band's career before they even had featured on another artist's song. Across 3 decades, they never worked with another artist on records that weren't their own. Never. Smashing Pumpkins don't do that kind of stuff, okay? The song itself plays out even darker than its original. There's a brooding quality about it, and it's all centered around the heftier set of guitars. Consequently, its lyrics, themes of grief and trauma, take on an even heavier outlook. Oh, I know that I can't live without you, but the world will keep turning if I do. Would you ever want me looking like a zombie? Youngblood sings on the hook. Collaborating with the Smashing Pumpkins acts as a full circle moment for the British rocker. He recently told Loudwire that the song ultimately drew from familiar classic source material from the band. Working with them allows him to bring the influence to the forefront. When I was making Zombie, I was really channeling Siamese Dream, he says. It was really the sadness and the melancholic emotion mixed with the aggression of Billy Corrigan's guitars. Yes, we've met Youngblood. We were going to make a drinking game out of it because every time he opened his mouth, he was like, "It's fucking brilliant." I was like, all right, seriously? I was like, next time he says fucking brilliant, I would take a drink. We would have all died of alcohol poisoning if we stuck with it, because literally we had to edit everything. Like every 2 words out of his mouth was fucking brilliant, fucking brilliant. I was like, all right, we're going to totally have to edit this interview. It's like, there's no way we can put this on the radio. The FCC will be, all over us about this one. So, yeah, we had to edit that just a wee bit. Anyway, Youngblood additionally recounted that he wanted to record the sound and how it had to scratch that itch. I called Billy, and I was like, "Billy, please help me scratch this itch." What the fuck? Really? You said that? Please help me scratch this itch? I want this record to dig in harder. There still needs to be almost a Jekyll and Hyde element. Youngblood is kind of a weird dude. I love him. Don't get me wrong, but there needs to be a version that's full of light and full of life and optimism. But then there needs to be this dark version that's pessimistic and a little bit bitter and more aggressive, Youngblood says. Ultimately, Youngblood's entire artistic disposition was to laud iconic artists who reflect his own music. For example, when Ozzy Osbourne passed away last year, Youngblood spoke about how much the Black Sabbath lead meant to him personally and creatively. I think Ozzy was always my North Star. It was really Ozzy Osbourne and David Bowie that meant everything to me, Youngblood said back in August. I think Ozzy was a character in my life that was such a reflection of everything I went through. I was always a bit over the top. I was always seemed to be a bit crazy. I was always seen to be a bit loud. But when kind of some people saw that as a negative, Ozzy would provide me with this hope that there was an avenue for someone like me in the world. I love Youngblood. You have to love that. Come on. You really do. He's such a character, though. He really is. He's a good cat. But, man, he's definitely a character. You got to love that, man. All right. Now, see, this is like, I can't make this shit up, and I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of someone that died. I'm not, I promise. It doesn't mean to be hurtful, but in 2021, English musician Jerry Marsden died at the age of 78 after being diagnosed with a blood infection in his heart. He was with the band Jerry and the Pacemakers. This shit writes itself. I'm sorry. Jerry and the Pacemakers, they died of a heart problem. Maybe it wasn't working properly. I'm not going to go into the rest of it. The funny thing is, though, why it is a thing that he wrote a song that was recorded by George Martin. The cover of You'll Never Walk Alone, and was released in 1963, peaking at #1. After becoming a chart hit, the song gained popularity and the Anfield Terraces, and the song quickly became the football anthem for Liverpool FC, which adopted You'll Never Walk Alone as its official motto on its coat of arms. So Jerry Marsden's song is a part of Liverpool FC history and lore to this day. So you got to give him something for that, even though he was with the Pacemakers. I'm sorry. I know, it's just fucking horrible. I'm just a horrible, horrible human. Better than Wankas, Jerry and the Pacemakers. I know, right? All right, 2025. So last year on this day, Neil Young announced he would headline this year's Glastonbury Festival, just days after saying he turned down a slot because of the BBC's involvement. The 79-year-old Neil Young had stated that he and his band would not play the event because the BBC wanted us to do a lot of things in a way we are not interested in. They did not elaborate. But in a new post on his website, the rock legend wrote, "Due to an error in the information received, I have decided to not play the Glastonbury Festival, which I always have loved." So he is playing, he isn't playing, I don't know. So I don't know if he played. I don't think he did. Because that would have been last summer, right? That would have been this summer, so I don't think Neil headlined. If he did, I missed it, but I wasn't there, so that's what happens. Now, I was going to talk about this, and I'm going to leave you this for tomorrow. We were talking, one of my friends was talking earlier, and we were talking about Snoop Dogg. And we got into the whole Snoop Dogg, the copious amounts of weed that Snoop Dogg smokes. Now, in his own words, Snoop Dogg talked about the fact that he smokes 80 blunts a day. 80. That's like 4 packs of cigarettes a day. Now, I was going to get a little bit of clarification on the blunts. So I mathed a bunch of stuff to find out things. But I'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll math the whole math thing for you. And I'll lead off the show and talk about Snoop Dogg and his 80 blunts a day and what that actually translates into, which is kind of crazy. It really, really is. It's kind of a crazy thing if you think about the actual volume of what that means. Oh, man. Oh, now, I did tell you that I was going to talk about who was voted as the worst people, celebrity-wise, that you would want to live next door to. Okay? All right. So in 2002, Your Homes magazine voted that the neighbors from hell least like that anyone would want to live next to. 40% of the readers of the vote, 40% voted for this. Okay? Now, this is like lots of other people. They could have anyone they wanted, but 40% overwhelmingly voted for the Gallagher brothers. Liam and Noel Gallagher topped the poll of celebrities that you would least likely live next door to. I was like, now, wait a second. I don't think they'd be horrible to live next door to. I could think of so much worse neighbors to live next door to. Right? I mean, look, they go out to the pub, they get into a bar fight now and again, but I don't think they would be horrible neighbors. They'd probably be very much to themselves neighbors. You know, I can't imagine they're coming over in the middle of the night being like, "Oi, shut up over there. You're making too much racket." No. You know, so no, I don't think they would be the Karen neighbors that they would be voted on. 40%. I don't know who these people are that would vote Liam and Noel Gallagher as the worst neighbors. I don't believe that personally. That doesn't fit for me. I'm not of that mindset to believe that the Gallagher brothers are the worst neighbors possible. I'm just not. I just can't imagine that that's who that would be. But I mean, if that's their belief system, I guess, you know, they can have that. I just don't think so. I could think of worse neighbors that I would not want to have beyond them, celebrity or otherwise. I mean, I'm sure there's even movie stars. I mean, come on, you wouldn't want to have some. All right, I'll just let it go. I won't go into too much depth about what would be the worst neighbor to have. Shouting at each other from the rooftops, but that would be funny. That would be funny. That would make for great neighborhood gossip. It's like, oh yeah, Liam and Noel were yelling at each other again. What a bunch of wankers. Liam, shut up over there. Shut up yourself. You want to go down to the pub and get hammered? Yeah, let's go. I mean, right? I mean, they invite you over, you go over and, you know, get into a brawl. That would be great. What a storyteller. Yeah, I lived next to Noel and Liam, and we got into another bar fight last night. Well, I mean, why not? That would be amazing. Get into your neighbor bar fights and your neighbors are the Gallagher brothers. I'm all about that. I would love that. So no, I don't find that to be a horrible thing, and I don't find it to be something that I would not want to have. All right. Let's see. Born on this day, died on this day. Who do we have born on this day? J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, you know, I was always amazed. I only found this out recently because, you know, I don't read that much, apparently. I did not realize that he wrote The Hobbit, like, forever ago. Like, close to 100 years ago. Which I was like, wait, what? I mean, I thought that was a much more recent occurrence. But no, he wrote it forever ago. He was born in 1892, so he would have been 133 years old today. So think about that. That's how long ago The Hobbit was written, which is nuts. I had no idea. I really didn't. I was not aware. Not even close. It happens, right? Sergio Leone. Now, you're like, who the fuck is Sergio Leone, and why would I care? He was born in 1929. He would have been 96 today. But he was the father of spaghetti westerns. He is the one who invented the genre of spaghetti westerns. He is the one that made the Dollar Trilogy. The three movies, Fistful of Dollars, that's the one that launched Clint Eastwood and the genre. Launched Clint Eastwood as the international man of mystery and the man with no name. Also, For a Few Dollars More, also with Clint Eastwood. And then the granddaddy of them all, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's who Sergio Leone is. So if you've never seen a spaghetti western, you have missed out, my friend. I'd highly advise you go watch one because they're just amazing. They're just, it's exactly what it is, a spaghetti western. It's so wonderful. All right, who else? Salvatore Robert Loggia. Now you're like, who is that? He was actually in Scarface. Okay, remember he was the dealer that was Scarface's sort of the car dealer, who was originally married to Tony's wife, and then he basically shot him. And Mel, but that's who Robert Loggia was. He's also dead. Sorry. Mel Gibson. There's a horrible cunt. 70 years old today. Dan Harmon of Rick and Morty fame. 52 years old today. Yes, indeed. Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young turns 80 today. John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. 80 years old today. Now, I got to tell you. So, some years back when... John Paul Jones played with Them Crooked Vultures, which was Dave Grohl from, obviously, the Foo Fighters, Nirvana, and Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. And so it was John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin fame, Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters fame, and Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age fame. So we got to have these guys. They came out of the radio station. We hung out with them a little bit. And... everyone's like, oh my God, Dave Grohl. And no one paid attention to John Paul Jones. And I'm just like, I was like, fuck that shit. I was like, I've met Dave Grohl. I've met, Josh Homme a bunch of times. I was like, John Paul Jones? I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, this guy is like, rock and roll royalty. So I hung out with John Paul Jones by myself. Everyone else was like gushing over those two. And I'm just like, I'm going to hang out with this guy. So yeah, so we chatted for like an hour or two. He was so nice. I've got a really cool picture of him backstage at the venue. And he was just the nicest guy too. So down to earth, so genuine, so real. And I was just like, as far as cool rock stars that I've met, he was definitely one of the cool cats. He was like meeting Bowie, Neil Young, those kind of guys that I met. I was just like, okay, I grew up listening to you kind of thing. Like you like shaped my whole musical like career, my whole, musical wants as a kid. So yeah, to meet an epic legend from that one, I was like, yeah, they were definitely a super group for sure. But yeah, John Paul Jones, 80 years old today. God bless him. Please keep that man alive. And then Kurt Vile. Happy birthday to Kurt Vile, 45. I was like, wait, he's 45? I'm like, holy crap. Where's the time gone? I remember when he was just a kid. Who doesn't love Kurt Vile and the Violators? Pretty Pimpin'. Pretty Pimpin'. That's Kurt Vile, baby. Pretty Pimpin'. And then the only person that I told you that I really knew about that died today was Phil Everly of the Everly Brothers. With Bye Bye Love, Wake Up Little Susie. He died at the age of 74. Not a lot of other deaths, which is fine. I'm fine with not having rock stars and actors lost today. Normal people, I didn't really look if there was normal people that died today. I'm sure there was a list of them that happens occasionally. But I didn't see any. So there must not have been any deaths. Death took a holiday. So I was just looking and seeing, I talked about the metal albums last night. So I'm going to see if I can put together a list of those. Because I had some people asking, like, where's that list? I want that list of metal. I'm like, all right, I will get you the list of the metal albums that I talked about last night. And also I'll see if I can curate some YouTube playlists for you of things that pertain to music. Because I can't listen to radio anymore, unfortunately. It's terrible. All right. Bailey, peace. I got a hot date. Nice. All right. Peace, Josh. I'm glad someone has a hot date in the morning, right? The only date I have tomorrow morning is with some Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. That's a Jersey thing, by the way. If you don't know what Taylor ham is or pork roll, it's a Jersey thing. It's totally a Jersey thing, man. You have to. It also is dependent on where you are in New Jersey. If you're in North Jersey or South Jersey, because that's a whole thing too. It's like drinking the wrong whiskey in Ireland. You're drinking Jameson, or you're drinking Paddy's. You drink. That's the wrong whiskey. You might be drinking that. Because that's the thing. Just so you know, that is the thing. There is like a whole like. You have to be drinking the right whiskey. If you're not, well, then you're going to have a problem. So just keep that in mind. That's a real thing for sure. It's just the way it works. It's just like you can't pump your own gas in Jersey, which, I actually made a video of that at one point that I'll have to put. But yeah, you can't pump your own gas in New Jersey. Okay. They don't believe that you're able to do that. I don't think, for some reason, there's this belief that you're idiots if you live in New Jersey and we can't pump our own gasoline, so you have to have the attendants do it, which is fine. You don't have to get out of the car in crappy weather. You can sit in your car, which is nice. I don't really hate on that. Sitting in your car while the weather's crappy is nice. But somebody has to pump the gas. You still have to get the gas pumped in your car. So you have to hand somebody your credit card out the window and be like, here you go, fill it with unleaded, please. Which is kind of obnoxious. What's going on here? Why is it saying disconnecting? What's happening? I don't understand this. Why is it doing this? It hasn't done this for a minute. I don't know why it's saying disconnecting tonight. Using too much bandwidth? Too many people watching? I don't know. Maybe yes, possibly. Not getting enough likes. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. I was talking earlier about Heinz Verified with Stephen Hay. And yeah, that's, if you want to go check it out, please go to YouTube and go look up Day Trippin'. It's basically with Stephen Hay. I'm the driver. I'm the co-star. And yeah, go give lots of likes to me so I can become popular and get paid to go do that, because I would like to go do that again. I have all sorts of ideas for how I should do that. I just need to make sure I get my listeners up. Now, wait a second. This thing's dropping again? Why is it dropping? That's not cool, man. Something's happening here. I can see that it's dropping. Something's not so good. Anyway, I don't know why, but it's for some reason doing that. So I can see right now that it's sputtering along. Whatever. All right. Well, I'm no longer live, apparently. It dropped out. So that's a bad thing at the moment. Well, I'm not sure why. Hopefully you're still there. The like and bite, right? Right? Yeah, I don't know. Something's happening there. Hold on. Why are we over here? Following? Am I there? Am I not there? I can't tell anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Something's happened. All right. I don't know. So strange. I'm not sure how this works sometimes. Sometimes it's all good. Sometimes it's all bad. I have no idea why it does that. Sometimes it allows me to work, and sometimes the computer crashes. Anyway, all right. So we talked about the births and the deaths and all the good stuff in between, and we talked about things and who would be the worst neighbors to have, which turned out to be Liam and Noel Gallagher, which, again, I don't believe that is the case. I would live next to Liam and Noel Gallagher in a second, because that doesn't sound like that would be a horrible life whatsoever. I could be wrong. Still on here? All right, well, good. I'm glad I'm still on there. I'm not sure what was going on. Something was happening with my connection. At least it said it's not responding. I'm looking at my website right now. It says not responding, which I have no idea. No idea why it's not responding. It just says so. It could be lying to me. You know, I've had the computer lie to me before. I've had AI lie to me. Remember, it's just a hallucination. All right, so I'm going to try and get a list of all the shows that are coming to Columbus and all the new releases that are coming out, everything else. So I'm going to try and do a little research and get a little more official news now that January is sort of getting back in the flow of things and the information will start coming out of the record labels again, because it's just that time of year. it's a little slow. The whole industry shuts down in December and January. So we don't see a lot of information coming out of the record companies, which sucks. I always hated that. We'd liked it to be a little bit better this time of year, but that's the way it works. So we will hope for the best and try and get as much information as we can from our friends at the record labels and see what tours are going to come out this summer. We know there's some. Some have already been released, but there'll be more. So we'll see what we can do. All right? Fair enough. All right. On that note, I'm going to let people get to bed. It is Saturday night, and you have lives to live. And Sunday is going to come tomorrow, and you have to get up and go to church and do all the things you do on Sunday. Sleep in, go to work, wash the car. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck you do on a Sunday morning. Do whatever you want to do. I don't really care. But anyway, I appreciate being here. I'm going to depart. I think I'll take some notes, make some notes on stuff I was supposed to do tonight and totally forgot to. But that's what happens. Short-term memory. I highly recommend not having it. But anyway, until then, I appreciate you. I thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you all again in the not so distant future. And we will do this all again, but completely different. All right? Thank you. I will hit the button and we will, in fact, step back and fade to black.